Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully this is working. See. Hello, hello, hello. I think this is working fine. Mic working. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. It's working. Yep. Okay. Test presentation. So what is the project? What is it we're proposing? So in its essence, what we're proposing is a 49.9 megawatt energy storage facility, and that's made by containerized battery storage. So it's basically shipping containers or storage containers that you would see on the back of lorries that have been repurposed and fitted with battery units inside them. So if you've ever seen it inside a kind of data center where you have racks and racks of batteries. If you go inside one of these energy storage units, you can see either side of, if you walked inside, is kind of racks and racks of smaller battery components that make up the full unit. I think there's 40 of those in this project. So the development consists of those containers containing the batteries, some associated equipment. There's an access track. There's a small meter building, a small substation building. And there's also some fencing and screening around it as well, with trees and planting and the kind of landscape bund, which I'll show you later on in the presentation. So what all energy storage projects do in effect is we store excess energy from the grid. So times when there's normally this is renewable energy producing in the middle of the night, say for instance, wind turbines it's really windy in the middle of the night and there's a lot of power getting generated. A lot of the time what will happen is those turbines will get asked to switch off and that power will be wasted. So what we can do is instead of having to switch those turbines off and lose that energy, we can store that energy and put it back into the grid when it is needed. It helps balance supply and demand for the grid. So that's it in the essence what the project is, but I'll explain about that in a little bit more depth in a few slides' time. So who are Intelligent Land Investments Group? Well, we're an energy storage development group based in Hamilton in South Lanarkshire. We started the energy storage side things in 2017 with a mission to bring 3 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. The majority of that's going to come from 3 pump storage hydro projects, similar to the one you've maybe heard of up in Oban, Crooken, they call it the Hollow Mountain. We've got 3 of those that we're developing. The most recent of those, Red John, on the shores of Loch Ness at Doors, has just got planning a couple of weeks ago. So we're kind of on our way there to making that a reality. And we also have 1 gigawatt of battery storage, of which Newhouse is part of. So why do we need energy storage in the first place? What's the reason to have it? And the main reason is that Scotland's got a target of net zero by 2045. So it's one of the most ambitious targets in the world. Across the world, there's a push to get to net zero. And a big way of doing that is a move to renewable energy. So the age-old problem that you have with renewable energy, in effect, is that it's intermittent. So it only works when it's sunny or when it's windy. And you can't always match that up with demand. So what we've done previously and what's happened in the past is that at times when there's high demand and no renewables, what we've done is we've turned on the coal, gas and nuclear to make up the difference. And as we move away from fossil fuel generators and as nuclear goes offline, some of the larger plants go offline, it means that we're more and more dependent on this intermittent power from renewable energy. So the way to deal with that is that we have lots of energy storage, which means that when that supply isn't available, when those renewables aren't available, we can use this energy that we've stored. So National Grid, ESO, which are the electricity operator really for the grid, have estimated we could need up to, pardon me, 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We're currently sitting on around about 4 gigawatts of energy storage, so we've got a long way to go. Now, the Scottish Government have realised this in their energy storage strategy in 2018. They realised that if we're going to hit those renewable energy targets, we're going to have a lot of energy storage to back that up. So they are broadly supportive of projects like this. But why is it in this location? Why are we at the land at Newhouse? And the reason is that we're located near the Bergmuir GSP. So a GSP is a grid supply point. So that is the kind of substation that's over the kind of the motorway. just into the small industrial estate beside near where Newhouse is. So we're close to that bit, close to the grid supply point. And basically what a grid supply point does is it is a hub for the grid where transmission power comes in on pylons and high voltages. That gets broken down into smaller voltages, out to smaller substations, and eventually out to your homes and to your businesses. So it's an ideal location to add in that kind of energy storage that we're looking to add in. But unfortunately in Scotland, although there's lots of grid supply points, not all of them have the capacity to take the kind of power we're looking to put in. So that's why we're at the substation at Bergmere, or the GSP, because we know they've got the capacity to do it, to take that power. So the next few slides give you an idea of where we are in location to everything else. Hopefully you can see there's kind of thin red line there, just below Newhouse Farm in that field, which shows you the planning boundary. And the location is part of a field just adjacent to the A9 dual carriageway on the western edge of Perth. At the moment, it's sort of scrub woodland wraps around it. Its location to it's like I mentioned, it's the substations on the other side of the dual carriageway. The closest houses to the compound lie about 125 metres to the east on the opposite side of the dual carriageway at Robertson Road, and at Newhouse Farm to the north. There might be a way that there's significant housing going to be built around there, but we don't believe that this development is going to interfere with that in any way. Now we had done this presentation and consultation process previously, but we've been asked to reconsult by the council as we've changed the layout of the project. We've changed the capacity of the project, and we've changed the layout substantially, actually, to add in a lot more kind of landscaping around the project, which you can see on this site layout. So we've got 40 energy storage units here that are the green rectangles. So there's 20 of those either side. So we're coming in off the road here, and then we come down into the energy storage compound, which is marked with the kind of purple line around there. That's actually a 3-metre high wooden fence that encloses the project. Then you have the energy storage units, which are the kind of green rectangles. So there's 20 of those either side, and you've got the access track going down the middle. We also have added in a landscape fund, which is kind of a raised up area of landscaping, which we're going to be planting trees on, and other kind of native kind of broadleaf trees and shrubs to screen the project entirely. So if you have a look at the actual the plan in its entirety, where the red line boundary is, the majority of the project is actually made up with landscaping. So that's a landscape fund and new trees and things like that. We're going to plan that over time will come to screen the project entirely. So a major focus of the design from our technical people is to screen the project, so the visibility from all areas is as minimal as possible. So the battery storage units themselves are standard container size. So they're 13 metres by 2.5 metres by 2.6 metres high. The battery technology that we're using inside of them, as I mentioned, it's kind of small components that make up a kind of full battery storage unit, and that's solid state lithium batteries. And those are what have been used successfully across most other energy storage units, energy storage sites across the UK and worldwide. So it's a proven technology. Now, the substation building, there's a small substation building as well that contains all the equipment that we need to get the power from the batteries to the grid, from the grid to the batteries again. And that's a GRP building, glass reinforced plastic, prefabbed building. And that's 10 metres by 6 metres by 3.2 metres high. And we'd agree the colour of that with the Perth and Cross Council. The kind of fencing solution that we have here, so we're going to have a solid wooden fence from 3 metre high from the outside, and there's also going to be a dark green wire mesh fence on the outside of that as well, and on the outside of that there's going to be a 1.2 metre high wire and stock fence. So that's and there also are some security cameras. So those we'll have those fencings, plus we'll have the screening around about that as well, with the landscape fund and the trees that we're going to be planting. So this is the proposals that we have at the moment. So these are these are subject to change, but that is the idea is the major focus of the design is to screen the project as suitably as possible, so that the visibility from most angles is going to be pretty minimal. So I think that gives you an idea of what it is we're proposing, who intelligent land investments are, why we're doing energy storage, why we need it, and why we need it in this location. So I'm just going to finish the presentation there, and Greg and myself will answer any questions that you might have.